Killer monkeys, outrageous gore, and a surprising dose of comedy. The Monkey is undoubtedly one of the more unique horror movies of the year. But does it all work, or does it spiral into chaos? Let's break it down.
It's a goddamn mess in there. Have you been up there? It's like that restaurant. Spaghetti City.
Everything okay up there?
Yeah, everything's fine.
Come on, baby, let's have some fun.
Welcome to the channel, everyone. Today we're going to be diving into The Monkey, the latest horror film from Osgood Perkins. This movie has been gaining a lot of attention, not just because it's based on a Stephen King short story, but also because of its insane blend of comedy, horror, and gore. Plus, it's produced by James Wan, the mastermind behind Insidious, The Conjuring, and the Saw franchises. Now, for those unfamiliar with the story, The Monkey follows rival twin brothers Hal and Bill, who discover a creepy old wind-up toy monkey in the attic amongst their father's belongings. But this isn't just any toy. Whenever the monkey plays its drum, someone meets a horrific end. As they try to figure out the truth behind the toy and how to stop it, bodies start piling up in increasingly bizarre and gruesome ways. It's part supernatural horror, part dark comedy, and full of wild, unexpected moments. I should mention that I haven't read the original Stephen King short story that this movie is based on, so I'll be discussing the film purely on its own merits without comparing it to its source material. Before we get into the review, let's talk about the man behind the camera, Osgood Perkins. If you're familiar with his work, you know he has a very distinct style. He's the mind behind The Blackcoat's Daughter, I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House, and Gretel and Hansel. Movies known for their slow burn, tension, eerie atmosphere, and psychological horror. But The Monkey comes at an interesting time in Perkins' career. Just last year, his other film, Longlegs, made waves as one of the most anticipated horror films of the decade. It had audiences buzzing with its unsettling marketing, and Nicolas Cage playing what might be his creepiest role yet. So naturally, with Longlegs generating so much hype, The Monkey had a lot to live up to. But The Monkey takes a different approach compared to Longlegs and Perkins' earlier work. Instead of his usual dreamlike quiet horror, The Monkey leans more into brutality and even dark humor.
Oh, fuck.
It's a bit of a departure, and while some of his signature style is still there, it's clear he's experimenting with something new. So, does this change in direction work? Let's break it down. Let's start with the good stuff, because The Monkey has a lot going for it. First off, the comedy. Horror and humor don't always mix well, but this film nails that balance in its best moments. It never takes itself too seriously, and the comedic timing is surprisingly sharp, making the gory kills even more entertaining. Speaking of which, the gore. This isn't just standard horror movie bloodshed. The violence in The Monkey is so over the top that it actually amplifies the film's dark humor. The kills feel like something straight out of Final Destination. They unfold like elaborate Rube Goldberg-style death traps where a series of seemingly minor events build up to a brutal, sometimes hilariously absurd demise. It's the kind of movie where you're horrified one second and laughing the next. Not because the movie is bad, but because the absurdity of the gore fits seamlessly within the film's self-aware, playful tone. The kills are brutal, creative, and intentionally exaggerated, making them both shocking and hilarious in the best ways possible. It's that rare balance where the violence doesn't just add to the horror, it actively makes the humor hit harder. And then there are the performances. Theo James does a fantastic job in his dual roles as the twin brothers at the center of the story. Playing two distinct characters is no easy task, but he pulls it off with surprising nuance, making each brother feel like a fully realized person rather than just a gimmick. Tatiana Maslany deserves a major shout-out too. As the boy's mother, she injects a darkly comedic energy that really boosts the film's personality. She's intense, unpredictable, and somehow manages to make even the most twisted moments feel weirdly hilarious.
Everybody dies. And that's life. I'll die. And you will both die. And all of your friends and their parents and all of their pets and everybody. Some of us peacefully in our sleep. And some of us horribly, violently, tied up with clothesline and screaming through duct tape over our mouths and all of that jazz. And to hell with it. Oh, come on, let's go dancing.
Her performance is one of the strongest in the film, and she helps sell both the horror and the humor effortlessly. And then there's Rowan Campbell, most well known for playing Corey Cunningham in Halloween Ends, who plays a small but hilariously funny role as an edgy, bumbling idiot. His character adds a layer of ridiculousness that makes certain moments even funnier, and while he's not in the movie much, his presence definitely helps reinforce the film's playful tone. Also, I have to mention that wig, because wow, it's a choice. It looks like something they found in a discount Halloween bin, and honestly, it just makes his character even funnier. Whether intentional or not, it only adds to the absurdity of his scenes. And while we're on the topic of performances, Osgood Perkins himself has a cameo in the film, and honestly, it's one of the funniest characters in the entire movie. It's the kind of role that catches you off guard, but ends up being one of the most memorable parts. You can tell Perkins is having a blast with it, and his performance adds another layer to the film's weird, dark sense of humor. It's a great little moment that horror fans will definitely appreciate, and it's always fun to see the director get in front of the camera, even if only for a short time. And of course, we have to talk about the monkey itself. The design of the cursed toy is genuinely unsettling. It looks like something you'd find buried in an old attic, forgotten for a reason. The jerky mechanical motions and that repetitive drumming create an uncanny, almost hypnotic effect that makes every scene with it feel unnerving. It's a simple but incredibly effective design that adds so much to the film's atmosphere. Now, let's talk about what didn't quite work. First off, the CGI. It's not great. Some of the effects feel unfinished or just outright bad. Practical effects would have served the film way better, especially given how much the movie leans into its gore. Then there's the tonal imbalance, particularly in the final act. The movie walks a fine line between horror and comedy for most of its runtime, but by the time we reach the climax, it starts to lose its footing. Some moments feel like they belong in an entirely different movie, and it throws off the experience. And let's talk about Elijah Wood, or rather, the lack of Elijah Wood. He's a legendary actor, and yet the movie barely does anything with him. His character feels underutilized, being reduced to no more than a one-scene cameo, and it's a shame because he could have added so much more to the film. And lastly, I'll talk about the symbolism at the end. Without getting into spoilers, the film tries to add some deeper meaning in its final moments, but it feels unnecessary and out of place compared to the rest of the movie. It doesn't quite fit the tone that the film had been building up to that point. Now, if I had to pick one standout moment from The Monkey, it would definitely be a sequence involving fishhooks, fire, and a conveniently placed real estate sign. It's not often you see a horror film that can make gore this entertaining while still delivering on the scares. So, final verdict. The Monkey is a fun, gory horror flick with great performances and solid comedy, but it's held back by subpar CGI, some tonal missteps, and wasted potential. It's enjoyable, but not without its flaws, so I'm going to give it a 3.5 out of 5. That said, I'm really excited to see what Osgood Perkins does next. He's a director who has continued to evolve, and while The Monkey had some issues, it also showcases his willingness to experiment with new tones and styles. With Longlegs already leaving a huge impact and Keeper slated to release later this year, it's clear that Perkins isn't slowing down anytime soon. If nothing else, he's one of the most interesting voices in modern horror, and I can't wait to see where he takes us next. So, what did you think? Did The Monkey live up to the hype, or did it fall flat? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and if you enjoyed this review, don't forget to like and subscribe for more movie breakdowns in the future. See you next time.